Fog tonight and tomorrow as well. A chance for rain tomorrow evening with a high of 40. Friday, a high of 42, and we'll see some showers. And then mostly similar conditions as we get into the weekend. On Saturday, a high of 41 with clouds. On Sunday, a high of 39 and mostly cloudy. Very similar on Monday as well, a high of 38 and clouds. In Madison, it's 33 degrees and mostly cloudy. In Green Bay, it's 34 degrees and cloudy. Over in Waukesha, 34 degrees with clouds. Here in Milwaukee, 36 degrees with rain and snow. I'm Jack Grau, Siding Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 6:07.
It's time for Buck Shoot Around on WTMJ. We get you warmed up, stretched out, and ready for tip-off. This is Buck Shoot Around. Now, here's your host, Greg Matzik.
All right, here we go. Bucks and Cavs tonight, and a lot to talk about here over the course of the next half hour. We'll hear the comments of Bucks general manager Jon Horst, who just finished wrapping up a session with the media about 5:15 this evening. Jon Horst sat down in the media auditorium, talked about the dismissal of Adrian Griffin, what is next, why the decision was made, and it's all things we'll get into here on the program tonight. If you'd like to join us here on the program, 855-616-1620 is our talk and text line. If you'd like to chime in on the firing of Adrian Griffin, the potential hiring of Doc Rivers, by all indications, he will be the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. The direction of this team, expectations, it's all been a very interesting last 24 hours. But I want to take you back to 2016. The Cleveland Cavaliers, on January 22nd, 2016, fired head coach David Blatt. And David Blatt came from outside of the NBA into the NBA and took over a team led by none other than LeBron James, mega superstar, best player in the world at that time. The Cavaliers were 30-11, and David Blatt was fired. At the time, the general manager of the Cavaliers said this: "What I see is that we need to build a collective spirit, a strength of spirit, a collective will. Elite teams always have that, and you see it everywhere. To be truly elite, we have to buy into a set of values and principles that we believe in that becomes our identity." There was a disconnect. Things weren't clicking. The record was there. The wins were piling up, thanks to LeBron and the other talent on the team. But you could see a path where the Cavaliers would falter before their ultimate goal, and that was to win a championship, something they ultimately did with Tyronn Lue. So the move worked. Will the move work here in Milwaukee? Well, time will tell. But a very similar disconnect between the players and coach was developing in Milwaukee, and it seemed very clear. And the other thing I have to underscore is that owners and general managers and players do not like to be embarrassed. And it was a little over a week ago, the Bucks were down by 47 in a loss. And a short while before that, in a home game against Utah, down 36 at the half. That is embarrassing. No player, no coach, no front office wants to go through that. To me, months of scrutiny for Adrian Griffin, the way the team was playing defense, the way it wasn't improving on defense specifically, coupled with recent embarrassing performance, is why Adrian Griffin is looking for a job today and no longer employed by the Milwaukee Bucks. So let's get to the comments from General Manager Jon Horst, who addressed the situation about an hour ago, a little less than an hour ago, and spoke to why he believes his team will be capable and hit this all in stride, the idea that a new head coach is going to come in and take over for a team that is 30-13 entering tonight's game against the Cavaliers. It's also a veteran-laden team with championship-caliber players. Here's what Jon Horst had to say about the transition from Griffin to the new head coach.
Everybody, thanks for being here. I want to address the dismissal of Adrian yesterday, and I appreciate the patience of everyone kind of waiting today to do so. This was obviously a difficult decision. Adrian is a great person, brought a lot to the franchise. We're thankful for that, and I'm thankful for the time that we had with him. But we also believe that we had an opportunity now with a special group, the talent on this team. The dynamic of the team has changed. The team itself had changed from when we hired him, and we felt like we had an opportunity to improve and to get better. And we wanted to take advantage of that opportunity. I I also would say that we believe that this is a good team right now, and with improvements, we have a chance to be great. We're looking for a way to really make this a great team. That's on me, that's on the players, that's on coaching, and we're going to continue to pursue that effort as well. In the interim, Joe Prunty is going to be the head coach through the transition, and we'll kind of continue to move from there. I'll take questions here, but before doing so, just want to say I hope you understand we're not going to talk about Doc tonight. That's not part of this. There'll be at some point, hopefully, a time where we can do that, but this is a chance for us to kind of dive into the Adrian Gifford piece if you guys want to. I'll open it up.
I know you just mentioned dynamic of the team change and whatnot, but why, John, specifically did ownership, yourself, Peter, decide that it was time to fire Adrian? Like, why was that decision made?
Yeah, it's part of my job. It's our job to constantly evaluate and to learn and listen and just continue to figure out how to improve this team. And for us, we felt like this was the right time, the right decision to make, and that we had an opportunity to improve the group. And there isn't a specific instance, there isn't a specific timing to it. It's just this, and going through it and evaluating, looking, the dynamic's different. Giannis extended, Chris committed, Brooke committed. We were able to acquire Dame. These are hard windows to come by. These are special opportunities. We think we have a special group. We believe in this team at a high level, and ownership, and myself and Peter, we've continued to be bold and to be aggressive in trying to figure out how to maximize these chances that we have, and that's what we're doing here.
Obviously, you couldn't hire a coach on the eve of training camp like when Dame was hired, but you mentioned the free agent signings. When you hired Adrian, you talked about the process and how much you felt that was good to go through. In retrospect, was there a misjudgment there on that process or in that process, and what maybe should have been after free agency or some other roster decisions had been made?
Yeah, someone really wise once said looking back is ego, so I'm going to stay in the present and not look back. There's no regrets. I believe in the hire that we made. I believe in the reasons we did it, the process that we went through. And again, Adrian has contributed to this group. Part of why we are where we are today, who we are, is because of him. This was an opportunity about going forward. And so, yeah, no regrets for me, no looking back. Believe in what we did, why we did it, when we did it, and believe in where we're at today as well.
Bucs General Manager John Horst, he greeted the media about 5:15. You heard his phrasing there, very careful phrasing when talking about Doc Rivers. That's to come. They're still hammering out details. We'll see in time when Doc Rivers actually ends up in Milwaukee. But he certainly alluded very strongly to the fact that Doc Rivers is in the mix here to be the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, and likely just some final agreements need to be agreed to. In detail points. So that is to come. We'll have more from Horst coming up on the other side. My thoughts on Doc Rivers potentially taking over as the next head coach. I think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. We'll get to that and more after this. It's Bucs Shoot Around on WTMJ.
It's Christmas in January at the Mine Shaft Restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Merck here, and the Mine Shaft is a treasure. It's been the area's most affordable, family-friendly restaurant for over 46 years, and it's still decorated with thousands of lights and Christmas characters. It will lift your spirits. Your kids are going to love it. Big breakfast start at just $7.99. Wednesday and Friday, the all-you-can-eat fish fry is just $9.99. So don't pay $16 to $20. Your fish fry is under $10 at the Mine Shaft. Or build your own huge burger or chicken sandwich for $9.99. Desserts are buy one, get one free. Your kids and grandkids can safely play in that world-class game room tucked away from the dining area while you finish up your meal. Experience the amazing Mine Shaft Restaurant and the Wednesday and Friday all-you-can-eat fish fry under $10. No reservations needed. Just walk on in. It's Christmas in January at the super affordable Mine Shaft Restaurant in Hartford and Oshkosh.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor. And all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
You're listening to Bucks Shoot Around on WTMJ.
855-616-1620 if you'd like to join us here on the program. Paul on the North Shore joining us here on Bucks Shoot Around. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for taking the call. I read your extra point, but is it maybe it is too close to the Simmons-Harden 76ers issue here? I mean, they're all athletes are alphas, right? Maybe they're just a little more laid back, but we don't really know what goes on in the locker room behind closed doors or on airplanes. So is there a little bit of that maybe with bringing Dame in?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. So Paul is referencing a piece I did here called Extra Points during the afternoon show, and I also post that to our website, WTMJ.com, in which I outlined Doc Rivers as the ideal in-season candidate to take over in this situation. And really, in-season is a very key component to the discussion. But a lot of the knock on Doc Rivers is that, sure, he's won a championship, but man, has he had incredible talent every step of the way with the Clippers. And even in Boston, after they won a title, that thing kind of dissolved in time with Rajon Rondo and Ray Allen and so on and so forth. And then ultimately in Philadelphia, the process had been exacted. They were going to win a title. Well, it didn't work, and a lot of the blame was put on Doc. But tell me this, what have those teams done since Doc Rivers? With very similar talent, right? You're talking about historically dysfunctional situation in Los Angeles with the Clippers. They've never broken through with any coach at any level, with any assortment of all-star players. And in Philadelphia, with an MVP and Joel Embiid, with or without Doc, it is still a dysfunctional mess. Finally, Nick Nurse is starting to make something happen there in Philadelphia. And maybe Doc sees that and says, you know what, I'm not going to be trashed. I'm not going to be drugged through the mud with what's happening in Philadelphia. I'm competitive too. I can make this work in Milwaukee. The point is this, Milwaukee is a drama-free zone with players who get along. They appreciate each other. They enjoy each other's company. The dynamic is different with Dame versus Drew Holiday, but to me, not in a bad way necessarily. So to me, Doc brings a level of professionalism and a dude who's been there, won a title. He's part of the fraternity, Paul. So I think the situation is different. And just look at what Philadelphia has done before and after Doc. Look at what the Clippers did before and after Doc. It's really no different. And I appreciate the phone call. So that is me stumping for Doc Rivers. I don't think there's a better person on the planet to take over mid-season than Doc Rivers. Just think about it. Where are their top 15 coaches in NBA history, according to the NBA? Where are they floating? Right? They either have jobs, they're retired, they've passed away. If you look at the NBA's top 15 all-time list, Doc Rivers is on it, and he is ready to go. So it's a very unique situation here, and ultimately Doc Rivers will be named the head coach in Milwaukee. I have no doubt about that. The big question is, when does he take over? February 1, after the All-Star break? That remains unclear. Of course, the trade deadline hits February 8th. That's another key date to keep an eye on. And yes, the Bucks will be circulating in discussions. The rumor mill's going to crank up here, I have no doubt. It's just kind of what John Horst does. And they don't have a lot of draft capital to play with. So don't be surprised if some existing talent is moved here as this team looks to fortify itself for a championship run. And that's what it's all about, a championship run. Not a playoff run, not a top 4 seed and home court advantage. It is a championship or bust season. And really, anytime you have Giannis on the roster, it is that for the Milwaukee Bucks. More from John Horst. We'll wrap up the program with his thoughts after this on WTMJ.
Meet Alan, who was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
I was what they call a mouth breather, and I would breathe at night with my mouth open.
And for about 8 years, Alan struggled with a CPAP machine. And then I saw the Advent commercial, and I thought, well, what do you got to lose? This machine is miserable. For most people, CPAP machines are miserable, but a simple breathing triangle solution from Advent can be life-changing. And it really was, to me, it was amazing because I don't think I ever breathed that clear. This is Dr. Madan Kandula. After having one of Advent's simple breathing triangle procedures, people are amazed at how freely and clearly they can breathe.
I'm happy with the procedure. I'm very glad I did it. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago. I could have avoided that machine I had to have laying next to the bed with the hose wrapped around my head.
Schedule your appointment at AdventKnows.com because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Here's a penny for your thoughts. There's about 11,000 tire-related crashes every year.
Mostly due to driving around on underinflated, beat-up, worn-out tires with low tread.
A couple of clicks at richlawns.com will get you scheduled for a free tire tread test.
But if you're pressed for time, there's an old trick we use in the tire industry that'll tell you if you need tires.
And that's free, too.
My dad showed me, who learned it from his dad, who learned it from someone else way back in 1964.
Ah, yes. The old penny test.
Yup, just place a penny head first.
As in upside down.
Into the groove of your tire. Now, if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, you're due for tires.
And hey, if the free penny test frazzles you, book an appointment at richlawns.com.
If your tires are good,
no harm, no foul, because it won't cost you a penny. Be safe, buckle up, and hang. Always make sure you've got good tread in your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Rich Lawns. You're
due for service.
Such a refreshing change. Rich Lawns.
Now, more of Buck Shoot Around on WTMJ.
Welcome back in. Greg Matzik with you. Wrapping up the program here. We'll get to John Horst and his comments regarding the dismissal of Adrian Griffin coming up in a second. Don't forget to stick around. Buck Shoot Around, following Buck Shoot Around, I should say, our network coverage, the broadcast, and then Justin Garcia and Bucks Talk, where he'll have plenty to talk about, and hopefully a Bucks win tonight over a very feisty and long Cleveland Cavaliers team. Should be a fun one tonight at Fiserv Forum. Augmenting the roster, improving everything about how this team performs. It's what John Horst has his mind on. We continue with his comments from earlier tonight.
I think for me and my staff, we constantly are turning that over. We're looking for ways to improve the roster. That's not to say we don't believe in this group as constructed. I think this group as constructed has upside. I think we have yet to maximize what we can become. Some of that's timing, integrating a new star, integrating new pieces, a new system. Chris coming back, playing a real role, real minutes compared to what he had done in the last year or so. And so I think there's upside in the roster as constructed. I know that we're going to do our job to figure out if we can improve the roster. And then as part of this and why we're sitting here today, I think there's a coaching element where we have a chance to get better as well.
Defensively, you guys have taken a bit of a step back this year. How much did that play into the decision, and where do you see those same opportunities for growth with the defense?
I would say in assessing the team so far, we have a really good record, and that matters. And we've had that in the past. We have an elite offense, and I believe we not only have an elite offense in terms of rating on a total game, but we have a starting five that's elite offensively, is very good defensively. We're great in late game situations. We have ISO scorers. We have pick and roll scorers. We have a lot of dynamic, I would say, flexible things that we can do offensively. Defensively, we have a talent group, I think, that can be better than what they've been so far. Is that a top 5 defense, a top 10, a top 15? I don't know. And that's what we're trying to decide here with the roster as constructed. We're trying to understand where we can take it, having the players be better. The players have an accountability to do this, to be better, and then the coaching element. And so I know that we're going to be really good offensively, and we've got to figure out how to improve defensively consistently. We've had points throughout the season where we've been very good defensively. We've had points where we've really struggled. And so trying to find a consistency and an identity on that side is part of this.
When you hired him, I know y'all were saying during the introductory press conference that Adrian was kind of a head coach just waiting for the opportunity. They had all the elements. Looking at it now, how much of a factor was his lack of head coaching experience, do you think, in terms of making the decision that you made yesterday?
Yes, Steve, it was a tough job and a great opportunity. Both things are true when we hired Griff. The dynamics and the things that changed after that, I think, created even more of an urgency, and even more so. These are special opportunities. The talent became even more special. The commitment to the team even more significant, and I think that increased the urgency. And so I don't. It's not because I'm afraid to be wrong. I've been wrong many of times. I believe Griff still is a head coach. The guy is 30-13. This makes this a tough decision. This is an assessment and evaluation for myself, Peter, and our ownership group, and how do we give this team the best resources to maximize this window. And it's way more about that and way less about what Griff did or didn't do. Jamal?
I know you mentioned you can't talk about sort of the next coach, but just considering the time before the playoffs and such, obviously you made the move today, but like, what gives you confidence that there is enough time? What kind of conversation you have with kind of the next coach about having enough time to leave an imprint on this team come playoff time and still make a run at a championship this season?
Generally speaking, NBA players, the NBA system to me is incredible. Like how they can transition, adapt, and adjust on the fly. You think of players that get traded, changes that happen in season all the time. And so, although it's a condensed period of time calendar-wise, I think in the world of the NBA and what in particular our really smart, professional, mature players can do, a great coaching staff around them, I believe that there is enough time for them to find an identity, find a rhythm together, and continue to grow. So it may feel shortened, but the things that happen in the NBA happen quick all the time, and transition happens all the time. And I think we'll be well adapted to it.
Bucks do have the luxury of being a veteran team. No doubt about that. That certainly helps in this situation. And quite frankly, if they were a young, sort of building, up-and-coming team, Adrian Griffin probably still has a job, given the record they have. But this team has its sights set on something bigger, and they recognized an issue, and they solved the problem. And still one step to the process here, and that is hiring, ultimately, the head coach to take him the rest of the way. Joe Prunty will not be it, for as good a guy as Joe Prunty is. Out of time here on the program, Bucks basketball is